Mohamed Salah's season, and however many seasons more, turned on a contested throw-in. Seconds into the 25th minute of the Champions League final between Liverpool and Real Madrid in Kiev, Marcelo and Georginio Wijnaldum fought for a ball in Real's half, a metre or two from Zinedine Zidane's no doubt twitching feet. There was dissent on both sides over the last touch, including from Salah, who outstretched both arms in appeal. The ball was finally awarded to Liverpool. Trent Alexander-Arnold raised it over his head. 4 Liverpool players pushed deeper into Real territory. 6 Real players kept watch. Salah, playing on the right, had advanced the farthest, which pushed him into the defensive orbit of Sergio Ramos, perhaps the most dangerous player in the world. The instant Alexander-Arnold released his throw, Salah burst on a line toward the center of the pitch. Ramos, a step behind, gave his usual determined chase. The ball dropped into open space, not far ahead of Salah. By then, Ramos had closed the gap between him and his mark, breathing down Salah's exposed back. Salah, Ramos, and the ball came together. The clock read 24:40. Millions of eyes around the world trained on that tiny constellation of timing and fate, the paths of 2 men about to meet and be made divergent at the same time. After an incomplete touch with his feet, Salah tried to settle the ball with his head. His arms caught in a tangle with Ramos, who stretched his left leg across Salah. Ramos found a sliver of the ball but more of Salah, and the two began tumbling to the ground. In that frozen moment, everything was still possible. The game was scoreless. Nobody was hurt. After one of the great goal-scoring campaigns in football history, Salah was still the object of wildest imaginations, a possible winner of the Ballon d'Or. The weight he carried was that of the most optimistic projections. There was only hope. If Liverpool could have sold him in that instant, they should have. That was Salah, the stock, at peak value. He will never be worth more than he was worth then. Liverpool should still sell him. His value might be less than it was 24 minutes and 40 seconds into the Champions League final, but it will only continue to drop. Liverpool should sell Mohamed Salah as soon as they can. Mo Salah's dream season ended in heartbreak when he injured his shoulder in the Champions League final. Images. Getty Images. Life can't be paused. Now we know how so much more of Salah's story unfolds. He will sit up stunned on the grass, Ramos climbing to his feet behind him, and realize something is wrong. Play will continue. Salah will fall onto his back, holding his left shoulder. The whistle will finally go. Ramos will stand over Salah, encouraging him to get up. Salah will not. Eventually, he will climb to his feet and try to play on. In the 28th minute, Salah will give chase to the play. He will seem fit. There will be the subtlest betrayal that he is not. When he runs, his left arm will not move as freely as his right. The ball will go out for a Liverpool corner, and Salah will bend over, on the verge of a heartbreaking decision. When the corner is taken, he will stand outside of the box, withdrawn from the play. After the whistle is blown, the ball dead, he will return to the grass, a little more than 3 minutes after Ramos had first brought him there. The difference this time is that Salah will be crying. He will be carried from the game by his flood of tears. Liverpool will lose, 3-1. Days of speculation will follow, whether Salah will be fit for the World Cup, whether he will continue to lift Egypt to historic heights. There will be light. His injury will be deemed not as serious as first feared. But Salah will mysteriously sit for his country's first World Cup match since 1990, a loss to Uruguay on his 26th birthday. He will start the next game against Russia but be mostly lifeless in it, potting a penalty after the hosts have built an insurmountable lead. After speculation that he is quitting the national team, Salah will start in a stunning 2-1 loss against Saudi Arabia, scoring a chip that his most blindly faithful fans will cast as face-saving, however thin, however hollow. What will happen next? Nobody knows, of course, just as nobody knew that a young Egyptian would arrive in Liverpool with relatively modest fanfare and score more goals with his left foot in a season than any other player in Premier League history. But a closer look at Salah's season, including its sad end, suggests that the best for him is no longer yet to come. His best has happened. Is Salah the third best player in the world? Following his record-breaking season, the FC crew debate whether Mohamed Salah has surpassed Neymar as the best player after Messi and Ronaldo. If there was a single game that encapsulated Mohamed Salah's season at Liverpool, it was the second leg of their Champions League quarter-final against Manchester City. It was a night when he did almost nothing, except that he did everything. Liverpool had won the opening leg in convincing fashion, 3-0 at an ecstatic Anfield, including Salah's opener in the 12th minute. Liverpool's advance was all but assured. A single goal in the second leg should seal it. The only complication was that the goal would have to come against one of the greatest football teams ever assembled at the heaving, pride-stung Etihad. It took 2 minutes for City to score. Manchester, city of football miracles, was about to bear witness to another. There were 88 minutes to go. Salah had started his night in his usual way. He stood alone on the grass in silent prayer. For what seemed an interminable amount of time, that was the closest he came to anything like action. He didn't touch the ball until the 7th minute. He seemed helpless to prevent City's rising in the back, always 2 steps out of position. If he did more than walk, he jogged, looking like a man trying his half-best to catch a bus. His manager, Jurgen Klopp, took notice. In the 26th minute, he directed Salah to switch from the right to the left, trading places with Sadio Mane. A minute more, and he pushed Salah to the middle, moving Roberto Firmino to the left. Mo needed a little bit to come into the game, Klopp said after. Mo did not come into the game, not even a little bit. He remained in the role of pure striker to open the second half, high and alone, but Mane made the greater attacking efforts. In the 56th minute, Salah fed him a short ball, which Mane carried deep into the City box. Salah trailed behind him, watching his more energetic teammate break through. Mane fell when Ederson dived at his feet. The ball spilled into open space. Salah pounced. He took a single touch, pushing the ball farther to the outside of the goal, and then lifted a soft, looping shot into the back of the open net, perhaps the most critical in his season-long collection of perfect finishes. He ran toward the Liverpool supporters in their raging corner of the ground, his hands in the air beside him. He looked as though he might have returned to his prayers. Instead, he was once again the answerer of them. Asked to describe how that moment felt on the pitch, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain used a single word: relief. Liverpool would win the match 2-1, and the quarter-final with surprising ease. Now they would face Roma, Salah's previous side, in a fairy tale semi. The football story of the year seemed destined to have its happy ending. It didn't matter that despite Klopp's tactical assistance, Salah had managed only 31 touches in the game, the fewest of any starter. For comparison's sake, Mane had 64. Firmino, who scored Liverpool's second goal, had 52. Salah had just 14 touches in the attacking third. He completed 67% of his 21 passes. He made 0 tackles. He had a single shot. But that single shot had gone in. Football's master opportunist had scored again, and nothing else he did or didn't do mattered. Salah was the man who could not miss. Mohamed Salah scored 44 goals this season after arriving at Anfield for a bargain price of £34 million. Lawrence Griffiths, Getty Images. Liverpool acquired Salah from Roma last June in what is now routinely portrayed as a robbery. He was signed for an initial transfer fee of £36.9 million. It does, in hindsight, seem like an incredible stroke of good fortune. Hindsight has its own way of overlooking inconvenient facts. Salah had been a long-term target for Liverpool, well before Klopp's arrival. The Reds had wanted Salah when Jose Mourinho's Chelsea signed him from FC Basel in early 2014, but Liverpool had deemed his then price, an initial £12 million, too steep. Mourinho soon cooled on his new signing. In Chelsea's second-to-last game of the 2013-14 season against Norwich City, Salah was reportedly scolded by his frustrated manager at the half, told to come back the next season if he was ready to be a footballer. It was a question of heart. Salah appeared only 3 more times for Chelsea before he was loaned to Fiorentina a little more than a year after his arrival at Stamford Bridge. Salah left London a failure. He eventually moved to Roma, where he found his scoring touch, pocketing 33 goals in 2 seasons. But he paled in productivity next to Edin Dzeko, who was coming off a 36-goal campaign, and Roma were being watched by UEFA for potential financial fair play violations. Salah had only a season left on his contract, and he had told the club that he wanted to leave for the Premier League, to prove himself after his humiliation at Chelsea. "It was in my mind to come and be successful in England," Salah said. Considering that Salah had to be sold, Roma did well to get the price that they did. In fact, when Liverpool owner John Henry had lunch the next day with fellow Bostonian James Pulata, Roma's owner, Pulata felt guilty enough to foot the bill. "Did we overpay?" Henry asked Pulata. "I think we overpaid. Liverpool's bid was a club record. It was also the only offer of its kind that Roma received. When you look at it now, you could say, oh, unbelievable bargain," Pulata told ESPN ahead of the Champions League semi-final. "I can't tell you that anybody else was calling at that time for Salah at anywhere near that kind of price. There are a lot of teams that have missed out." Salah was not in hiding. He was not playing in the dusty streets of his village in Egypt. He was playing for Chelsea, and for Fiorentina, and for Roma, under the constant watch of football's vast network of visionaries and intellects. Everybody in the game took a look at him, and only one side saw a player worth £36.9 million. That's probably not because everybody in football went dumb. Now, after a single, incredible 44-goal season, and after Neymar's explosive signing with Paris Saint-Germain warped the transfer market, and after Liverpool themselves sold Philippe Coutinho to Barcelona for 9 figures, there have been suggestions that Salah might be worth more than £150 million, or nearly 4 times his purchase price from only a year ago. Virtually any other asset, in virtually any other business, that had appreciated that much in such a short period of time, would be considered almost too hot to touch. But football is not any other business. Sometimes everybody in football goes dumb.